Another Polytalks video, and today we'll be discussing something true to the environmental nature of this channel, and that is the East Palestine train derailment. And if you're wondering, this is not an event that occurred in the Middle East, anywhere near Palestine. This is a domestic issue within the United States that occurred specifically within Ohio. East Palestine is a town within Ohio. And there was a train derailment a few weeks ago, which caused a massive fire and released many toxic chemicals into the air, which have been killing local animals, and many of the residents of this town have been reporting strange illnesses. And this is significant because this is a massive environmental disaster, and today we will be discussing it on the surface level, but also the political factors that go along with it. So, firstly, we must mention that there are many hazardous rail lines going across the United States, and as you can see, the vast majority of them are focused in the east, and many of them run through Ohio, so it is not surprising this happened. But what is surprising is that this incident has only been discussed uh, in these contexts we're having right now, in the context of environmental disasters, because actually, when you look deeper, there's a lot more to this. Because actually, these hazardous materials are being transported by private companies that are not government owned and have the full rights over their rail lines. And one of these is Norfolk Southern, which is the one responsible for the East Palestine train disaster. And there has actually been a report released that shows that if Norfolk Southern had spent extra money to have an electronic breaker on their trains or more human supervision, this may not have happened at all. And so that is what we'll be discussing today. We will be discussing the political considerations behind this disaster and perhaps why this may have happened in the first place. And so, first, I just want to start off by saying that this is for sure a political issue, just as almost every major event is in the modern United States landscape. This is, of course, an environmental disaster as well, but primarily we can analyze it through politics. And we see that on the one hand, Democrats believe strongly that this event largely happened because of the kind of decentralization of the freight industry and the fact that many of these companies are privatized. Whereas Republicans would say this is an unfortunate accident and the companies have a full right to be privatized. So, really, it just goes to show this issue can be analyzed under multiple perspectives, and this can be a political issue as well as an environmental issue. But overall, it's clear to see that Norfolk Southern may be responsible for the incident, and perhaps this may not have happened had there not been a private company responsible for the transport of hazardous materials. So, that is one major takeaway, is that, of course, this will be used by Democrats as an example of an environmental disaster caused by the privatization of freight companies transporting hazardous materials and a strong impetus for new regulation laws and stricter restrictions regarding how these very hazardous materials that are capable of causing many harmful illnesses and environmental effects and contamination, how these are transported, and what these companies need to ensure in order to be able to transport such materials. So, simply put, this issue is an environmental issue. We have seen contamination in the soil, we have seen fumes in the air, we have seen toxic chemicals, but the main takeaway if there's one main takeaway from this video, it's that this may be just the beginning of a new chain of issues and environmental issues that are linked to the political happenings within this country, and we should always be sure to analyze the politics behind these disasters and catastrophes because they may give us an important insight into how politicized our society is and how every environmental issue has a political faucet. So, I want to end this video now, but I would like to thank you, and I will provide more updates on this as it progresses. And I simply hope that I hope the best for East Palestine and the speedy, recovery of this. And there has been much government uh, incompetence. We've seen lobbying occurring. We've seen incompetent reactions to this disaster and lacking solutions. But all that is just to say that for each environmental issue, we'll have massive controversies, and this is one of them. And this is simply a tragic example of how political fights and varying government policies can cause these massive catastrophes. So, with that, I would like to end this and say thank you, and I'm looking forward to another Polytalks video later down the road. See y'all later.